If your child turns into a completely different kid after 5 p.m., more whiny, more defiant, more wild, it might not be attitude. It might be sleep debt. Evenings can feel like everything suddenly falls apart. You ask nicely, and suddenly, you're in a power struggle over pajamas or brushing teeth. It can feel confusing, frustrating, and exhausting. And sometimes you even question yourself, like, why is this so hard every single night? But this doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, and it doesn't mean your child is a difficult kid. It often means they are simply tired. Most parents notice the same pattern. Their child is mostly okay during the day, and then, as the evening comes, everything gets harder. The listening drops. The emotions get bigger. Small things turn into big reactions. Evenings are a perfect storm. Kids are physically tired, emotionally drained from school or daycare, and at the same time, parents are running low on patience and energy too. So now you have a tired child and a tired parent trying to complete the most structured part of the day. That's not a behavior problem. That's a nervous system problem. Let's talk about what overtired really means. Overtired doesn't just mean sleepy. It means the body has gone past the point where it can settle easily. When kids cross that line, their bodies release stress hormones. Those hormones actually make them look more wired, more hyper, more silly, more loud, even though inside they are exhausted. This is why some kids suddenly start running, laughing, or acting wild right before bed. Their body is trying to stay awake instead of shutting down. A simple way to understand this is like a phone battery. Imagine trying to run a heavy app when your phone is at 4%. Everything glitches, it slows down, it doesn't respond properly. That's what an overtired brain feels like. Now imagine trying to give instructions to that phone. That's what it feels like when we try to reason with an overtired child. When the brain is overtired, it has less ability to control emotions, focus, and impulses. So the behavior you see is real, but it's not coming from control. It's coming from a brain that is struggling to function. This is also why discipline often feels like it stops working in the evening. You can explain, repeat, or warn, but it doesn't land. They hear you, but they can't use that information well. Instead of thinking they are not listening, it can help to think their brain is too tired to respond well. That small shift changes how you respond. Instead of long explanations, keep things simple. One short instruction, calm voice. And if needed, gently guide them physically instead of repeating yourself again and again. For example, instead of saying, "I told you 5 times to brush your teeth," you might walk with them, hand them the toothbrush, and stay nearby while they start. You're lowering the demand and increasing support. Let's walk through a real-life evening example. Imagine it's 6:30 p.m. Your child had a full day. They had snacks, maybe some screen time, maybe some stimulation. Dinner is happening, but they're not eating much. By 7 p.m., you ask them to get ready for bed. They say no, you repeat yourself, they ignore you. You raise your voice. They cry. Now both of you are frustrated. Nothing is working. This is a classic overtired pattern. Not because your child is choosing to make things hard, but because their brain doesn't have the capacity left to cooperate smoothly. Now let's change that same evening slightly. Screen time ends earlier. Around 6 p.m., they have a small snack and water. Lights in the house become softer. Noise levels drop. By 6:45, the environment is already calmer. At 7, you begin bedtime with a predictable routine. Same steps, same order, same tone. The child may still resist a little, but the intensity is lower. Why? Because you supported the nervous system before it reached overload. A helpful way to understand this is something called the overload triangle: hungry, overstimulated, and tired. By the evening, many kids are dealing with at least 2 of these. If they haven't eaten enough, their energy is low. If they've had screens or loud environments, their brain is overstimulated. And if bedtime is too late, they are overtired. When these stack together, behavior gets harder very quickly. This is also where many parents accidentally make things harder without realizing it. For example, keeping screens right before bedtime increases stimulation. Pushing bedtime later because the child doesn't seem tired often leads to overtired
Hey,
behavior.
it's
Giving
okay.
long
You can tell
explanations or
me.
lectures when a child is already overwhelmed usually makes them shut down more. None of these are bad parenting choices. They're just common patterns that don't match how the tired brain works. So what can you do instead? Start small. Move screen time earlier so it ends at least an hour before bed. Offer a simple snack and water in the evening. Lower stimulation by dimming lights and reducing noise. And try moving bedtime earlier by even 15 to 30 minutes for a few days. You don't have to change everything. Try one adjustment and observe what happens. Another powerful tool is predictability. When the same bedtime steps happen every night in the same order, the brain starts to recognize the pattern. Bath, pajamas, brush teeth, story, lights off. No surprises. No long negotiations. The more predictable the routine, the less energy the brain has to use to process it. And remember, transitions matter. Don't jump from high stimulation straight into sleep. Give a gentle bridge. For example, after active play, move into quieter play. After quiet play, move into bedtime. Each step helps the brain shift gradually instead of suddenly. It's also important to talk about your experience as a parent. When kids are overtired, parents become overtired too. You're trying to manage emotions, complete tasks, and keep everything together at the same time. It makes sense that patience runs low. If you feel like you're about to snap, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means your system is overloaded too. A helpful reminder in those moments is this: it's the tired talking, not the truth about my child or me. That thought can help you pause and respond more calmly. You don't need to be perfect. Some evenings will still be messy. Some nights will still include tears or resistance. That doesn't mean the system isn't working. It means you're dealing with a developing brain that still needs support. Over time, as sleep improves and routines become more predictable, behavior usually improves too. Not because you forced better behavior, but because the brain has more energy to handle expectations. The goal is not a silent, perfect evening. The goal is a calmer, more manageable one. Less fighting, less frustration, more connection. The most important idea to take away is this: you are not dealing with a bad child. You are guiding a tired brain. And when you support the brain instead of fighting it, everything starts to shift.